goals, and we will work towards them. Mr Speaker, thank you.
Moana Maki, 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. The amazing thing about that speech, with all the nasty and frankly unnecessary comments towards members on this House, was that she had them written down. This wasn't something. Sometimes members come into the House and they say things in the heat of the moment, and sometimes you go back and you get an email from people saying, you know, it wasn't very becoming of our representatives to behave like that, and you say, fair enough, you know, you get wrapped up in the heat of the moment, you forget that people are watching and that it might not seem appropriate. She had them written down. She sat in her office and wrote all those nasty vitriolic statements about the opposition. She wrote them down. That is extraordinary. And apart from the fact that we're not meant to read speeches in this House, to read a speech out like that for someone who's only in her first year in Parliament to already be that nasty is frankly very, very disappointing. And one of the comments she made, which I found interesting, was everyone on this side of the House, she said, was on a benefit before they came into Parliament. That's what Maggie Barry said. Well, I wasn't. I was a scientist before I came into Parliament, and I can tell that member that everything that is laid out in that science and innovation plan is not good enough. Not good enough. National have gone backwards in terms of assisting science and innovation. And then, lo and behold, we find out over the weekend that now in charter schools we're going to be teaching creationism instead of evolution. How is that pro-science and boosting science? And how is that going to enhance the reputation of science in New Zealand? We're now going to be not teaching evolution, but teaching creationism in charter schools with unqualified teachers. So I say to that member, with her 10-point plan, 60-point action plan, summit this, summit that, pamphlet, glossy, booklet, how about less hooey, more doey from the National Party? Less hooey, more doey, because I am sick and tired of all the action plans and the glossy pamphlets. The only jobs that have been created under this national government have been people who produce pamphlets and glossy little publications which are outlining the government's next great big idea for the economy because all the others have failed, going right back to the Jobs Summit. Remember the Jobs Summit. Jobs, when they first came in, it was going to create thousands and thousands of jobs. It created practically none, apart from the pamphlet-producing sector of the economy, which is a very important sector of the economy. But there is so much more the government could be doing. Maggie Barry talked about the importance of getting into China. Well, let's take that example, because I agree. Now, one of our best assets in New Zealand for getting into a lot of these international markets, particularly China, are our mayors, because mayors are very, very highly regarded in China. And the mayor of Appropriation has gained enormous access to China, is working on a project that will create jobs, and he's been able to do that because of his status as a mayor when he takes delegations there, to forge those relationships and do it in a way so that local government isn't doing all the heavy lifting when it comes to the relationships that we're developing with these important overseas markets. Well, we have a bill at the Select Committee at the moment, the Local Government Amendment Bill. Maggie Barry is a member of that committee, that seeks to do away, in some cases, with the roles of provincial mayors. They will no longer be responsible for the economic, environmental, social and cultural well-being of their communities. It will limit their ability to do these things. And if they force amalgamations, then it will actually take those mayors out of the picture entirely. Just about everything Maggie Barry said in that speech is contradicted by what the National Party is actually doing. And that's a frustrating thing, is they keep talking about jobs. Well, where are the jobs? We've been sitting here for 4 years waiting to see when all these promised jobs are going to eventuate, and nothing in Budget 2012 is going to do that. Do you know what the big king-hit economic plan of Budget 2012 was? Taxing kids on their paper routes. Taxing kids on their paper routes was the big surprise economic plan of the National Party in Budget 2012. How mean is that? How mean is that? That at the time when you're giving tax cuts to the wealthiest New Zealanders, taking assistance away from those who need it the most, you've taxed kids on their paper route. And what the National Party said about that was, you know, oh, well, it's not that much money anyway, it's only a few $100s. Well, when you're a child and you're saving, and when, like most of us on this side of the House, you're saving to go to university and pay for fees, all that adds up. Might not be a lot of money to people on that side of the House, but we know that to the people we represent in this Parliament, it is a lot of money, and it was appreciated. And taking that away to pay for unaffordable tax cuts that overwhelmingly went to those who needed it the least is not what a government priority should be in the tough times. There was nothing in budget 2012 that is going to grow the economy. There was nothing that is going to bridge that gap between the jobs that are starting to come out now, the jobs that are out there, and the people who are unemployed who need the skills to do those jobs. That's where the government focus should be, and the government dropped the ball in 2012 budget again.
Michael Woodhouse.
Speaker, we've coming soon to the end of a long journey which began on the 24th of May.